Hello, sweeties. I have KBShimmer's Perfectly Seasoned collection to share with you today. Quick notes before we get started. After I swatch each polish, you'll see it under studio lighting, lower lighting, and one coat over black. Let's get to it. First up is Berry and Bright, described as a vibrant cherry red with a near metallic finish, with hints of cardinal red and raspberry, and under certain lights you may even see hints of copper and gold. Shown here in two coats. The different red shifts are visible no matter the lighting, but the copper gold very much shows itself in the lower lighting. Next is Bundled Up, described as a vibrant grape base with vivid shifting shimmer that shifts between teal, royal blue, green, and indigo. Shown here in three coats. You may only need two if you have less of an opaque free edge than I do. The tail of the shimmer and a bit of the indigo can be seen in the studio lighting, but the royal blue very much steals the show in the lower lighting. This is Crushing It, described as a deep forest green with a vibrant green magnetic pigment, shown here in two coats. The magnet used is the KBShimmer dual-ended magnet. In the lower lighting, the deep forest green base almost becomes a black, making the bright green magnetic pole pop even more. Here we have Flocking Fabulous, described as a white crêle with a fun mix of fuchsia, icy blue, green, and red hex glitters, as well as large fuchsia and green dot glitters. Shown here in three coats, dries with some texture, so a top coat is needed for a full glossy finish. Next up is Get Your Knit Together, described as a deep indigo blurple leaning jelly with iridescent flakes that shift between fuchsia, purple, aqua, and blue, as well as some black flakes. Shown here in 2 coats. You may need 3 if your free edge is more opaque than mine, and it does dry with some texture, so a top coat is needed for a full glossy finish. This one mostly looks the same no matter the lighting, but all the shifts in the iridescent flakes do dance more in the lower lighting. This is How Noble, described as a deep teal jelly filled with color-shifting flakes in blue, teal, green, and sapphire hues, as well as some black flakes. Shown here in 2 coats. You may need 3 if your free edge is more opaque than mine, and it dries with some texture, so a top coat is needed for a full glossy finish. Again, another that mostly looks the same no matter the lighting, but the shifts in the iridescent flakes do dance more in the lower lighting. Here we have In a Flurry, described as a silver prismatic topper, shown here in 1 coat over KBShimmer's Stream On, Stream Away, dries with a bit of texture, so a top coat is needed for a full glossy finish. The hollow really comes to life when I move my hand throughout all the different lighting. Next is Kringle All the Way, described as a Christmas-inspired glitter topper that features a mix of metallic glitters in numerous sizes in bright red, silver, green, and holographic, as well as micro and small hex glitters. I applied this using the sponge method over a white, red, and green gradient. I like using the sponge method with these heavy type glitter toppers so that you get more of a glitter payout as well as control over where the glitters land on your nail, but it can be applied normally as well in a couple coats. Dries with a good amount of texture, so I sealed this one with KBShimmer Smooth Moves as well as their top coat. This is perfectly seasoned, described as a warm-toned light caramel tan base with a strong linear hollow flame, while red undertones mimic a dash of cinnamon. Shown here in 2 coats, you may need 3 if your foliage is more opaque than mine. This mostly looks the same no matter the lighting, except the base becomes a bit darker in the lower lighting. Here we have present tense, described as a bold purple with a warm magenta shimmer that shifts from fuchsia, purple, and pink, and in some lights even blue. Shown here in 2 coats, you may need 3 if your free edge is more opaque than mine. You can see a bit of the shift in the studio lighting, but they all come to life in the lower lighting, especially the pinkish fuchsia shift. Next is Skating By, described as a pale icy blue polish loaded with glowing hollow flakes and color-shifting shimmer in soft peach and a warm gold. Shown here in 2 coats, you may need 3 if your free edge is more opaque than mine, and it dries with some texture, so a top coat is needed for a full glossy finish. You can see the shifting shimmer in the studio lighting, but it does become much more pronounced in the lower lighting. And lastly, we have What's Going On, described as a black reflective polish with an array of colorful micro glitters. Shown here in 2 coats, dries with a good amount of texture, so I sealed this one with KBShimmer Smooth Mousse as well as their top coat. You can see all the colorful micro glitter pop in the dark base, but they really come to life when under the flash and in direct lighting. So I very much enjoyed this collection, so it's hard to pick my favorites, but if I have to, my first pick is What's Going On. So I'm not usually big on reflective glitter polishes, but this one screamed Christmas lights at night to me and it just looks so magical. And second, I'm going to go with Present Tense. The purple, fuchsia, and pink shifts to this one were so strong and super beautiful, and you all know how much I love myself some purple polishes and multi-chromes, and this is exactly that. And finally, I'm going to go with Kringle All the Way because it's Christmas in a bottle, and it reminded me of all the ornaments and baubles that are on Christmas trees, and it was just super festive. What are your favorites? Let me know in the comments. This collection releases November 22nd at KBShimmer.com. Their Black Friday sale starts the same day with a 20% off site-wide sale with the code KBSBF2024, lasting until Cyber Monday on December 2nd. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!